Joe, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. This
My
is
pleasure.
Joe Fernandez, CEO and co-founder of Joymode. So would love to get a little bit more about your background.
Sure.
One thing that we really enjoy at Struck Capital is finding founders that are repeat founders that have done incredible things and then can leverage those information asymmetries to be successful in their next venture. So would love to hear what you were doing before Joymode.
Kind of always been an entrepreneur. Started a bunch of random stuff, but kind of the most notable thing is a company called Klout, K-L-O-U-T. That was kind of at the dawn of social media and everyone trying to figure out, kind of what this new world meant. And I was really fascinated with the idea that every person was a broadcaster. And Klout set out to measure the influence of each person. So think of it as like PageRank for people. Ended up raising about 50 million bucks. Started in 2008, got acquired in 2014 for about 200 million. That was a really intense journey. And learned a lot that I think kind of ties into Joymode.
Got it. That's great. Really lucky to have a founder that has sold his last company for 200 million. Would love to understand how your lessons at Klout have impacted what you're doing at Joymode, and really just understand what Joymode is as a company.
Joymode's all about letting you get access to all the products you don't want to own. So if you think about the things that are in your closet, are in your garage, just sitting there collecting dust, are all the things you wish you had, and how you could use those things with your friends and family. We have a giant warehouse full of those products. We deliver them to you when you need them and pick them up when you're done, so you don't have to own them. So in a lot of ways, it's a completely different business than Klout, where Klout was purely digital, all about analytics, and Joymode is really physical. We're a logistics company, kind of at our core. Where those lines cross to me in the framework that we think about the physical world is we actually have brought a lot about that data analysis and AI and machine learning that we developed at Klout, and one of my co-founders was a meaningful part of our engineering team at Klout, and apply that to our inventory. So, where at Klout we try to understand everything about a person and what they're influential, Joymode we want to understand everything about a product, the usefulness of that product, who needs that product at what time, and how do we get it to them. So those are kind of the theme that I think connects between these two companies.
So tell me exactly what Joymode is. What problem are you solving? What is it really at its core?
At its core, Joymode is about letting you live like you own everything, but really have to own nothing. So we really want to create a world where you're no longer constrained by what you own, only by your imagination. So if we can help people spend more time in the real world with their friends and family without buying and the clutter and debt and environmental impact, we think we're solving a really important problem. And we're really betting on this mega trend that hundreds, probably thousands of years of ownership really being the core of how people think of status and success and all these things. And I'm sure somewhere in the Bible it talks about how many oxen somebody owns or something, and in the US it's all about for a long time it was how far in the suburbs you can move to fill your house with stuff you don't need. Where really in the last kind of few years kind of just overwhelmingly shift away from that, where people want to have experiences, people really quantify their success and their happiness through their experiences. But the reality is you still need products to have those experiences. So with Joymode, we're trying to give you access to those products when you need them without having to own them.
So explain to me how Joymode works. So, if I'm a consumer and I want access to an experience, but I don't want to own the product, I come to Joymode. What do I do?
So Joymode is a membership-based service. So you become a member of Joymode. You pay $30 a month, and then you have access to our whole inventory. And we've got about 50,000 products. And so you could request, you make a reservation when you need one of those, and it could be, multiple weeks in the future or for that day, but you would request it, we deliver it to you, and when you're done, we'll pick it up. And when we pick it up, we'll even drop something new off. We want to be to access what Amazon is to ownership, and make it, when you do decide to buy something, like, you feel really sure that you're going to actually use that thing and care about it, because otherwise you would just get it from Joymode.
Got it. So what specific problem are you solving? I know for me, the concept of buying something and then storing it in the basement, and hardly using it. That's definitely when I used to live in New York, where space was at a premium. That was very frustrating. But how do you think about the size of the market and the actual problem that you're solving?
Yeah, there's that point solution of, hey, I want to go camping and I don't have a tent, and Joymode's there to help you. What we've seen that's interesting is a huge amount of the actual use of Joymode, once you kind of solve that first issue where somebody has a point problem, is then it becomes they start coming to Joymode to look for stuff to do. And Joymode becomes something that inspires them to try things they may have never tried. So the core problem, I think there's kind of two. I think it's like, we help save you from buying stuff, and then two, we enable you to do things you might have never done, or you would have had to buy new stuff to do. And that seems to be resonating really well.
Got it. And how large is that market? How did you ensure that the problem was big enough?
Big enough to matter,
to really matter.
So it's pretty crazy. It's like $1.2 trillion spent every year on non-disposable stuff that gets like single-digit hours of utilization. So if you go into your closet and garage and you look at all those things that you use for some one very, very specific use case, and that sits there the rest of the year, it's like added up across the U.S. a huge problem. So there's that's at like a, I don't know, just some kind of large market thing, but then it's also just something that resonated super deeply with myself and the team, that we were tired of owning things. We were tired of feeling like we couldn't do stuff because we didn't have those products, or looking at our houses and seeing these things just kind of collecting dust. And like Uber and like Airbnb, where the market that is being replaced is like one size, but once those systems are new in the world, it kind of creates all these other use cases. We are seeing that at very, very small scale still, but given where we are in our life cycle and journey, I think there are ways we will see Joymode used that we never imagined as people discover new ways to use the service we provide.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I think Joymode's mission to really sort of change that behavior, the way that you think about ownership, that's incredibly unique. Would love to get an understanding of how you sort of take that idea and actually execute on it. Where is Joymode today? What are you guys doing for the Los Angeles community? How many reservations are coming through the platform, and how do you think about that?
I feel like everywhere I go, people have used Joymode or been somewhere where they're using Joymode, and that's really fun to see it kind of get into the kind of mainstream of the city. Los Angeles is huge. We cover a pretty meaningful geographic chunk of that, but we're still expanding. We don't even cover all of LA. We're growing at kind of 25 to 30% a month over month for 2 years straight now.
Wow.
So in terms of 25,000 products will leave our warehouse on a weekly basis and come back, and we have to have major processes in place to route all these things correctly, to clean them when they all come back, to get them on the shelf, and then kind of understanding the utilization of those and knowing what we need to buy more of. So we apply a lot of data science to each of those problems too.
Got it. Yeah. So tell us more about that. I think a lot of people see Joymode and they think, it's just a bunch of stuff in a warehouse. And what there really is, there's some incredible core technology innovation going on here to really make this logistical machine work. Would love to get an understanding of what you guys are doing on the data science, AI side, and some of the incredible, engineers and talent that you've been able to bring into the company.
Yeah, it's a really fun set of challenges, like dealing with physical stuff and tracking all these products and that things coming out, coming back. It's like we had to actually build our own inventory management system, and then we built our own kind of RFID implementation into that, where we call it the Joy OS.
Okay.
And that kind of runs the whole warehouse, and each role has metrics and has analytics, and kind of we can track any product as it goes, from a delivery driver to a cleaner to like back on the shelf to like going back out the door again. 90% of our effort as a company has been on these kind of logistic pieces. We've been really fortunate to attract amazing talent. Some of my cloud colleagues on kind of the data science side. One of the really senior data scientists from Netflix, who had been there 5 years and had worked on their cold start algorithm and on their investment algorithms on like knowing what content to buy. He's on our team and runs the data science now. We hired.
So he left Netflix to come to Joymode.
Yeah, he left.
Heading up data science here.
Yeah,
amazing.
So gentleman who ran one of Amazon's biggest fulfillment centers out at San Bernardino, with an amazing history before that, joined the team and runs ops.
Wow.
So we have multiple people with like Amazon experience, like a lot of e-commerce experience that we don't think of ourselves as e-commerce, but there are things about e-commerce that we try to like piggyback on. But really, everyone kind of one way or another has like a super deep data analytics background.
Tell us a bit about sort of where Joymode is in the sort of competitive landscape. Are there any competitors? Is there anyone even trying to do what you're doing? And how do you think you'll sort of stave off future competitors?
Inevitably, there will be competition at some point. And I like to be really paranoid about that. But like, we were chatting earlier. Like, I don't wake up worried that somebody's going to open up Joymode Chicago tomorrow before we get there, because I think it's really hard, and I think there are things about our business that really lend itself to kind of at least one-sided network effects and like really deep moats. So like every new subscriber we get, we buy more inventory. All the new inventory we buy, we get better deals, and we're kind of like and we open up the service bigger, and it's kind of the more products drives more page views, drives more user, like kind of get that flywheel going. So I don't look at other people, some rental service that's going to compete with us. The real challenge is Amazon. Like, they make it so incredibly easy to buy stuff, and we are all trained to buy stuff. So creating this new behavior where you access something instead of buying it, like that's our competition. Weirdly, I also think a lot about Netflix's competition.
Okay.
Not because, like that we're directly comparable, but we are here, we give you access to these products so you can do something. No matter how easy we make it to do something, Netflix makes it easier to do nothing.
Okay.
And,
right.
like, it is always easier to sit on your couch and binge watch whatever than it is to do anything from Joymode. And so we're competing for time.
The time. Got it.
So we think a lot about that's the bar. Like, it has to be as easy or, easier or more special in some way. And, that's one of our biggest challenges and one of our biggest opportunities is defining the Joymode brand and community as standing for, like, I do stuff. I do things in the real world. I spend quality time with friends and family. And I do it without kind of contributing to like, the environmental impact or whatever it is, and debt, clutter. But yeah, I think about Netflix as an actual competitor
Got it.
to us.
Yeah. No, that's incredible. I think when we look at Joymode as a company, there's so much there in the actual execution that is so difficult to reproduce on the logistics side. There's so much there on the technology in terms of the data science and data analytics side. But it seems like what you're going after, what you're mentioning as well, is just sort of that community. And there's something unique about what Joymode symbolizes. So how have you sort of curated that community? And that to me is something similar that you see in companies like Airbnb, for example.
Yeah. We want Joymode to feel like, like a mission people are getting behind, not just the team, but the customers too. And it's something that they can kind of define themselves as like, I use Joymode. So we think about it in, kind of obvious things like design, but also in the curation, like what products we have and like, what companies are we getting products from, and like what do those companies stand for, and what partnerships do we do, and what stories do we tell around that. And so kind of content, curation, community, like all those things kind of come together and are like the pillars of our brand. But it's still early, and it's still like, we're still molding it and still kind of figuring out what it is. Like, there's some things that have been surprising. Like, I think I initially would have guessed like our customers would be younger, and they're more kind of 28, 29, 30 than 22, 23, 24. And so like that kind of, we kind of react to that too, and embrace that in different ways. But communities, and brand is definitely kind of core to everything.
So tell us, I think that's another really unique opportunity for Joymode, is all of the data that you're aggregating on your customers. As a manufacturer, you sell someone a product, you have no data on how they're actually using the product. So tell us how you sort of aggregate that data, and do you think that that's going to be very valuable in the future and can even serve as some downside protection for the company?
The relationship we are building with our community and, enabling them to try tons of products they may have never tried, and the fact that we go to their house, drop it off, come back, pick it up, like each of those is a moment, and we get really great feedback in those moments, and that feedback turns into data that whether it's there's a lot of interesting things we could do with that. And I think the relationships we have with suppliers for our products are going to be really valuable. And then this Joy OS, this operating system, and the analytics and data analysis and AI and everything kind of a part of that we use to power our inventory could, there's a lot of ways we can open that up too. Like, why couldn't we let a retailer on that platform and let them turn their inventory into our inventory and kind of enable that? Like, these are a long ways out, but there's a lot of interesting marketplacey type things we can do too.
So you were mentioning like with Pepsi, for example, if millennials are doing a beach day experience, you can drop a Pepsi can in the cooler. What kind of, how do you think about those types of opportunities?
I think those are really complementary to the value we're providing to our members, and in the sense that like if we assuming we pick really interesting, really, aligned, brands, that if we strategically placed products, doing product placement deals with CPGs, where, the Pepsi, we have 1,000 people going to the beach, let's put Pepsi in all their coolers. Or we've got, we're doing, 10,000 people going camping this weekend, let's put Cliff Bars with all that stuff, and they're kind of sponsored experiences. I think is going to be like a really interesting, again, not the main revenue, but just like a complementary.
One of your investors is Lowe's, which is a really large corporation in the United States. What you were mentioning, what kind of sort of complementary type deal could you explore with them that would give them data that they've never been able to get normally with just brick and mortar stores?
It's funny, we actually have two strategic investors that are big corporates that are like super opposite, but I think the breadth of what we are doing with them tells a lot about the possibilities for Joymode. So Lowe's, one of the biggest, $6 billion a year revenue home improvement company. They are an investor in Joymode. They were really worried about, what they also see is this move from retail and ownership to access, and just kind of want to understand. But we also are doing an experiment with them where at one of their stores, you can pick up and drop off your Joymode stuff.
Okay.
And they're interested just in like traffic, like how many people do we drive to the store?
Got it.
We are kind of collaborating around some curation of specific bundles, and then them providing the consumables for it.
Got it. Okay.
The other interesting strategic we have is Pernod Ricard, which is a French spirits conglomerate.
Okay.
So not a lot of companies, I think, have alcohol and home improvement
all
as
the same investor
cap table.
Base, yeah. And how large is that company?
I think they are also like a 30 billion.
Okay.
I think they're public. They're worth 30 billion. I don't know what their revenue is.
Yep.
But yeah, super big. And they were really fascinated because so many of the moments we are enabling are moments where alcohol might be a part of it. And they were really interested in the like kind of research component of what data we could provide them. But they also provided us with a lot of data on kind of market research on like things millennials like to do or whatever. And so that's been a really good partnership too. We've been fortunate. These very different brands and their very different interest in Joymode, but like we've had, and there's a lot of other conversations we've had where we've had opportunities to add more strategics if it ever made sense.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the themes that we see a lot is trying to bring data in the online world, bring that level of data and granularity and understanding to the offline world.
Yeah.
And I think with Joymode, you can sort of, if you own that experience, that offline experience, the data play is massive and very unique.
Yeah, it's super interesting. We're not even there yet, so like we think a lot about it. We play at the edges with it, but like it'll be fun in a couple years to see like at scale what that is, because this is such a different business. We've grown really fast and we continue to grow, but like at scale, Joymode is really different. And I think better or worse, Joymode's a company that's either huge or dead. I think, and I like that. Like I want high beta, like we take over the world or not. And I think as that flywheel gets going, it becomes really powerful.
Yeah, so tell us about some of your investors. Obviously you being a repeat founder, we've loved, just being able to join forces with some of the best investors in the world. Would love to know who they are and, different ways that you've enjoyed working with those investors, and then also how you've enjoyed working with Struck Capital.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been super lucky with Joymode, and some of the halo effect of having a previous good outcome, like got to pick kind of who I wanted to work with, and thankfully the people I wanted to work with me and on Joymode, and so Homebrew led our seed round, and they've been just like incredible partners, and
that's Hunter Walk. Satya as well, one of the strongest seed funds in the country.
Yeah, they're really like, they're just incredible, and like secretly shocked that they took us. So they're so awesome. Lowercase was like our second biggest investment.
So that's Chris Sacca.
Yeah, Chris Sacca. I think they're
seed investor in Uber.
Yeah, I think, and Instagram and Twitter, and I think it's like the most successful seed
fund of all time.
Yeah, all time. We have 10110, which is a local LA fund that is like under the radar, but like amazing.
Austin's great.
Those guys are like, those are the guys I always joke, like if our delivery drivers didn't show
Austin
up,
will get on
I would call them. We've got
do you have DFJ or like Pritzker Group, or who do
we have Pritzker, Pritzker here in town. Sherpa,
they're very strong.
Sherpa's amazing. Also another big early Uber. Slow
Ventures.
Yep. Collaborative fund. Those guys are like, their mission is incredible. And then our Series A, Naspers led it. And Naspers is like incredible. And we're through the venture arm, not through one of their corporate pieces, but like, they led the Series A, and Tencent.
How large was the Series A?
Series A was 14.5.
14.5 million.
Yeah, so we've raised basically 18 total.
And Naspers that invested in Joymode, you're saying also led the Series A of Tencent.
Correct.
Got it.
So that's considered the best venture investment in history.
Amazing.
So they're really interesting because they mostly only invest international. They came to us and said, hey, we have a thesis about the future of ownership. We looked at companies around the world. We think what Joymode's doing is the most interesting.
Got it.
And that kind of sparked.
I like Naspers too because they're in Cape Town, South Africa, where I'm from.
Yeah, they're like, that's their, they're a 120-year-old company. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And then, what I've appreciated about you were there kind of day one, super early, is we've talked a lot about the data and the community and all these things. One of the other things, like, we're a company where financial engineering is as important as product engineering. And you're the person when I'm like, when we're trying to figure out like, hey, how do we not use equity to buy tents and cotton candy machines?
Right.
What are the interesting ways we can what types of structures, what types of relationships, how should we be thinking about this stuff? I think about you as like my person on the cap table I go to that for. And I think that insight is like critical to us. And it's really, there's no one else that has that. Investors are really good at consumer product strategy and some are really good at whatever, but I know you're probably good at many other things, but for me, that has been awesome.
Well, I think we've so enjoyed working with you, and I just love how humble and honest you are, and it's so easy to just get on the phone, talk, have a beer, whatever it is. So really appreciate that, and just so excited to see what Joymode becomes at maturity.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.